Good day, friends.
This is our belated Halloween. Actually, it's not. It's belated as far as getting it out, but it's still before Halloween, so you will still get this before Halloween.
They're going to get it before
Yay!
Halloween?
So it's our Halloween episode.
Killer.
Of The Nerd Factor, a library podcast from the Madison County Public Library in Richmond and Berea.
Taking bets on how many times April's going to say that.
I know at the beginning of our... Let's move right into our topic. Cece, what's your topic? Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yay!
Well, just super duper quick. So since I was so late today, I had a lot of headspace that I was dealing with. So I have a super important question for you all.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
The Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
Beatles.
It's not even a contest, Cece.
Well, so what's the
So what's your answer?
The Beatles.
Really?
Up one side,
I'm
down
so
the other.
surprised at that.
From me, personally? Or?
No, just both of you.
For both
just
of us?
Like, there's no question.
It's the Beatles for me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I was like, I know you're a huge Stones fan.
Well,
but
I
for
like
me,
them
it's the
both.
Beatles.
Sure.
And I go through, phases, I guess, where I listen to one of them all the time and listen to the other all the time.
Right.
But I don't know if you all do this, but like I have a hype music kind of thing that I do before we record.
Oh, nice.
Not before we record, but I've got
Okay.
some. If I'm needing it, I have a do work playlist, and this is what it's called, do work, and it's songs that are mostly safe for work. And
I've already shared all of my hype music for our podcast, music that I listen to on our podcast. It's Wesley Willis.
Oh, yes.
Screaming very obscene things into my ear. And Ronald Jenkins, who is so cool, doing his cute little techno stuff.
No, that's cute.
Well, the Beatles has been mine for the past couple weeks.
That's
cool.
great.
So, but it's just me in my car screaming lyrics the whole time.
Yeah.
Just like trying to, I guess, warm up.
I did this thing once where it was a note on Facebook going around way back when we still had notes. It was like 2009, I think, when I did this. And it was pick one band and answer all of these questions using only song titles from their songs. And I did the Beatles.
That's cool.
Nice.
And it actually turned out really, really well. I was really pleased with it. I'll have to find it and read it sometime. But
So do you all
really
like lyrics more than you like music? Like what's the appeal there?
It varies from song to song for me.
It does. It varies from song to song, artist to artist, mood to mood.
Yeah.
If I'm looking for something I can sing along to, I don't usually go with either.
The Beatles are a whole lot easier to sing
They
along
are,
to.
though.
The Stones are nearly impossible to sing along to.
I'll just take this opportunity to confess. So I grew up on the Beatles. It was my mom's thing, right? And this is how. One could assume that whoever you're most passionate about, you know what I mean? Maybe your parents gave to you, or some of the bands that you're most passionate about. My dad, Chicago, the band Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
My God. For the rest of my life, like is Saturday in the Park. You know what I mean? Because of my dad. The Stones, nobody really introduced me to the Stones. I have a few bands. Led Zeppelin is another one of these bands. I posted recently on Facebook a year ago. Somebody, please help me understand how Led Zeppelin is not just a jam band, because I can't all this and people were up in arms and like very upset with me. But I also got a really good education, right? So all I'm trying to say is I have never connected to the Rolling Stones. I have tried, but maybe not hard enough, honestly. I've thought about asking you or Athena or you and Athena to give me a little bit of a Stones education. I know some of the top stuff, and that's really it. I don't know the deeper stuff. The Beatles, I know about their journey. Man.
Yeah.
I
know a lot about
I know
the
about
Beatles.
what was going on in the world when they were recording their
Right.
music and stuff like this. So,
Well, I mean, I think without the Beatles, there wouldn't be a Stones.
Well,
because they didn't want to be the Beatles.
Interestingly enough, and I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast. I remember having this conversation with somebody, but I don't think it was on here. But I was listening to an article from NPR, shock and surprise, and they were talking about how...
You have really pretty gold nail polish on today, April.
Oh, thank you.
You're very
It's
good.
chipping away.
I'm noticing it. It's like blinding me as you
Oh.
as you speak with your hands.
Thank you. I
Sorry,
try
go
and
ahead.
keep them painted
Glasses
because
glare.
that helps me grow them out.
Oh, yeah, glasses glare. Watch out for that.
Pardon me, I'm also still sick.
I just chimed my water bottle. Sorry.
But they were talking about how they took this computer program and put a specific algorithm into it, and then evaluated all of the different music of the 60s, and it actually found that while that while
Brandon just made a face.
Okay, I'm curious what that is.
I mean, like sat straight up. And
so he's like, huh?
I'm very excited about this.
You have caught my attention.
Yeah, the human embodiment of the thinking man.
See, I was thinking Scooby Doo.
Yeah, no, I definitely Scoobied. My ears were all.
But they took the music of the Beatles and the Who and all of these other really influential bands of the time, and they did it. They checked everything out, and it actually turned out that the way that they were measuring things, the Beatles were not as influential as far as creating revolutionary change within the music industry.
Yeah.
This cultural change, yes. But as
exactly.
far as the music, because a lot of their instruments were still, at that point anyway, were still very basic.
Right.
And there were other bands who were experimenting with more music and more different styles, like the Beatles did later.
They stayed extremely basic.
Yeah. They did. They did. Now, the
cultural
change was dramatic, but as far as musical influence, it wasn't until much later that the Beatles started causing more influence, and they were actually influenced by other bands of the time.
I agree with that because they have this
it was really interesting to hear.
Their whole bubblegum era was all just "I want to hold your hand." Right. It's like so safe,
which is an awesome song.
Vanilla. No, I mean they're great songs, but they're very.
My
safe
favorite
and
version of
poppy
that is actually from Glee.
When
Kurt is singing it to his dad, and his dad's in the coma, and he's doing it a cappella. Oh my!
You guys across the universe, man.
That is a great, that is a great
goodness
movie.
Gracious.
And the soundtrack for that, love it.
It's so good. So this, you mentioned this algorithm, and I Scooby-Dooed at attention. Right? There's this computer program. What was going on in my mind was I could see these mad scientists like trying. Over candlelight to just to crack the code, right? To find the right algorithm that could help this, that could allow this computer system or computer program to properly analyze all of the songs of the 60s. But when they crack the code, it's alive, right?
Eureka!
So then they leave for the night and they close the door and they turn off the lights. But overnight, this computer's working. It's going through all of the songs of the 60s, the Who and the Beatles and Hendrix and all this great stuff. All night. That was the Stranger
Things.
Theme song.
Oh, we cannot talk about it because we're not done with it yet.
But then in the morning when the scientists come back, their mainframe has just become like Jerry Garcia. It's just like sitting in there, it's like smoking a joint, and it's got like long, curly, gray hair, and it's like, hey, man, you guys want to hear about some good music, man?
So that's how the Grateful Dead came to be.
That's how the Grateful Dead was born.
That's what it was. Oh, my God.
Just
I love that.
Thick clouds of smoke. Okay.
Well, I mean, pretty much all, either band did was just take other people's songs. I mean, they were both cover bands at first, which I think everybody probably
for sure,
is.
Yeah.
A lot of bands start that way. I mean, not all of them. Don't crucify me. But a lot of them do start that way because that's how you learn, and you figure out you're figuring out what your influences are. You're learning their music style, and then you're going from there and building your own. I'm not saying that as a songwriter because I'll admit it puzzles me. Yeah. It puzzles me. I can sing, and I can kind of read music, and that's it.
Man, do you guys know about this? So I'm not a big Journey fan, really. I like Journey's hits, right? But I'm not.
Don't stop.
Right? No, totally, for sure, for sure. But do you know that being that I'm not a huge fan, I can't tell you like dates and all this stuff. But Steve Perry left the band.
He did
in the late '90s, early 2000s, I think. Okay, whenever it was. And so then Journey really wasn't a band for a while. But then they all got back together, the band members. I learned this from an awesome documentary that you can find on Netflix, I think, called "Don't Stop Believin' and Every Man's Journey." Are you guys aware of this? They have a new lead singer.
I want to say I'm vaguely familiar with it.
His name is Arnel Pineda, and he's Malaysian, right? He's a small, very much Malaysian man. Long dark hair, et cetera, et cetera. When this man opens his mouth to sing, his voice could cut glass. Like
in a good way or bad?
He sounds just like Steve Perry.
Oh, okay.
He's like one of the most talented singers. Well, we mentioned.
I'm not sure that cutting glass is the.
Oh, dude. Well, I mean, like laser. Like his voice is like a laser.
Oh, it's like sharp.
It's like so
precise.
Yeah, it's dude.
Not like so.
I will rewatch.
Painful.
That it,
No. Shatter glass and cut glass are two very different things.
Oh, okay. Fun fact. I learned actually by almost doing this myself that when you shatter glass, it has nothing to do with how high the note is. It has everything to do with the resonance and how fast the sound wave is vibrating. But the problem is you don't want to do it because it's painful, not just to you, to your listeners, because it actually like vibrates your eardrum and actually hurts. So you can have like these crazy high notes, and it won't affect the glass at all. It has everything to do with the resonance.
I feel like it probably would also
it was
be
like actually a thing.
Yeah. Oh no, it really is a thing.
Shatter glass.
It is a thing. Yeah. I was working with a vocal coach at one point, and he said, "No, because you know that shattered glass thing. That's how you do that. Don't do that. That hurts." I was like, "Okay."
I've seen somebody shatter a wine glass by singing, but it was very hurtful, and it wasn't. It
hurts your eardrums.
Tuned. It was a little bit like shouting.
Yeah, it can be.
At it, in a high. It was pretty funny.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Brandon's glass is shattered.
It's so painful, and here it goes.
And here you go, listeners.
Cece, you don't
Turn
have.
That
you didn't like those windows in your office, did you? Okay,
right,
good.
Right.
No.
Good thing it's not getting cold outside or anything.
Right. So listeners, if you want to, if you're on Facebook or whatever, or hey YouTubes, you should put in the comments like a Stones song that I should listen to increase my Rolling Stones education, because I'm really into that. I'd be down for that. I don't dislike the Rolling Stones. I just can't. I have a hard time connecting with their music. So help me out.
There was a on Westworld. There's like I think that was the very last episode. They're getting ready for this gun battle, and they start this Wild West version of Paint It Black.
Oh, that's awesome!
And it was awesome.
I know Paint It Black because it was on Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah. It's like if you know the Stones, you know that song.
That's why I know Paint It Black.
That's like the
it's a good song.
Well, the Stones are a little bit like more dark, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
Or darker,
I
not
can
more
feel
dark.
that. Yeah,
darker.
More darkestly.
It's more darker.
More darkestly. Arrest.
It's the most darkest.
Don't stop believing,
The Beatles
CC.
are all like love and holding hands. And
right on, for sure.
All you need is love, and then the Stones are singing about war.
I get by with a little help from my friends.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
There are lots of mornings when I wake up with Lady Madonna going through my head.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Isn't that a ballad, or did I just make that up?
No.
It's not really.
Kind of like a... No.
See, I just
That's
don't
a Beatles
know.
Song.
Yeah,
don't know.
Lady
That's a
Madonna's Beatles.
Yeah. Fraud.
Called you on that one.
I'm a big Beatles fan.
The lie detector test says.
Oh, no. I'm a big dumb dummy. I
love that Stones song. Help.
I like their later stuff. Right on.
Yeah,
I really need somebody right now. Somebody please help me out.
Well, apparently he needs
brother
a list
up.
of Beatles songs to listen to as well.
Listeners, promise I just spaced on that particular song.
That's all right.
Their catalog's huge, though, right?
It is. It is enormous.
Like, yeah. So
it is.
In my defense.
I don't even know how many songs.
Which one, Beatles or Stones?
Well,
both.
But
The Stones have been around for 55 years now.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Crazy.
I heard this about two different bands, and I honestly don't know if this is a true story. I have never Googled it, but I heard that. This is like one of my favorite bar stories. I tell this story all the time, so I hope that it's at least in part true. That Aerosmith and Queen, the band Queen, right, were contemporaries. First of all, I didn't really realize that they were getting their start around the same time. So does that sound true to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that Steven Tyler said of Queen. I heard that he was like, these guys are just a bunch of Nancy's, and they're like, we're the real rock band, and they basically suck, and they don't have any good hard hits, and like we're the ones who are going to be famous, and we're the ones who rock, and Queen does not. Basically, he kind of challenged them and said a bunch of nasty things about them, and then Freddie Mercury and crew were like, oh yeah,
We Will Rock You.
and they went into the studio and recorded "We Are the Champions" and "We Will Rock You."
Yeah.
Are they on the same album? I don't even know this.
Yes.
Don't
Isn't it
they? Wait,
like-
don't they go into each other?
Yeah,
like
they-
one goes
yeah,
into
they go
one
into each
feeds
other.
into the
Yeah.
other.
And so basically those songs, as I have heard at various bars, and then I've stolen this particular story without doing any of my own research. This could be fake news. I have heard, though, that those songs were written in response to Steven Tyler and Aerosmith as kind of like a, what now, boy?
Come at me.
See, I had heard that "We Will Rock You" was written in response to a chant that the audience would do, and so since they were doing this, they incorporated it into a song.
We're going to have to research this.
I was going to say, I
Yeah.
may have to look that up.
Okay.
For
Yeah, I don't know. It's something I'd heard, and I don't even remember where I heard it. So
Yeah.
Anyways, did we introduce ourselves individually? No, I know I introduced the podcast. I do remember that.
Wait, hold on. Have we? What is this show called again? We're the Nerd Factor. I'm Brandon.
I'm April.
I'm Cece.
Aha! There we go. Now
I promise I'm a real Beatles fan, you guys.
Lady Madonna, right?
that
should be my new podcast nickname.
The famous Grateful Dead song, Lady Madonna.
Yes, good.
The Grateful Dead would do like a 25-minute long version of Lady Madonna.
You guys want to hear some music, man?
Oh my gosh, you're ridiculous.
I'll tell you all about some good music from the 60s, man.
You are too much sometimes. I swear.
Anyway.
All right. Was that your topic, or was that?
It wasn't really, but it was. I think it might have been more
interesting.
No, more like conversation inducing than my topic. I was going to talk about the history of trick or treating.
Okay.
As
you got
well
2
we
minutes
should.
go.
As well we should. Let's please talk about
because
that.
I've got the
You
history
ready?
of haunted houses.
Do you want the long and short of it? No one really knows why it's a thing.
Really?
I mean, people know that, like, the whole Halloween thing came from Celtic, tradition, where they thought that the dead came back on this particular day, and they would leave treats out to please the dead, and dress up to, I guess, disguise themselves from the dead.
Yeah.
But it was like a big feast and a big holiday. But from what I can tell, nobody can really point to exactly where trick or treat came from, especially in the United States, or like why it's been a thing,
or
the
version that we
the
have,
version
where
that
kids
we
go
do.
dress up and go around and get candy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Interesting.
Candy companies, Mars,
I
Hershey.
mean, it probably is.
I mean, a lot of our holidays and our traditions are all just these massive conglomerations of different people's different cultures, traditions, and things like that.
Oh, yeah,
like the Christmas tree. We didn't, as far as Christmas, they didn't have a Christmas tree for the longest time. Christmas was actually not a Christian holiday originally.
It's Yule, man. That's where all that comes from, the Yule log.
Yeah, so like a lot of, and Easter is another one that's the same way. It's a whole mix of all of these different holiday traditions from these different cultures.
Hollow out chocolate bunnies and eggs.
Yes. And Starburst jelly beans.
Oh, they're my favorite.
God.
Oh, they're my favorite. I like them better than Jelly Belly, man.
Starburst jelly beans are the best.
Starburst jelly beans give me a jelly belly. Haha.com.
They give me snack treat fingers.
Oh, yeah, man. There's no doubt.
I mean, I already told you guys I don't really like to dress up.
Right.
I don't like candy either. Like
I'm wearing my costume
person.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you guys probably saw it on Facebook already.
I did.
Who? What? I didn't see it.
My costume?
What is it?
You
Can you say? I haven't seen it. Right. What? I did? What is it?
Yes. It's Carl from Jimmy Neutron. I even made
Wait, you posted a picture of it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's
Okay.
on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
inhaler and all.
We'll have to put it on our Insta
I
page.
grabbed an old inhaler that
Nice.
we had. I made a button that said
Perfect.
that said I touched a llama.
It's perfect,
Red
April.
suspenders. It was great.
I'm upset
It was
that I
great.
haven't seen it yet. Okay.
I even had I put my hair all on top of my head and had Tom twist it around to look like his hair.
Nice.
It was close. It wasn't. I've got too much hair to really pull it off. But yeah, I love it. I love dressing up.
Me too.
I do.
Me too.
Well, speaking of, guess how much money we spend every year on Halloween?
Oh,
Oh,
general.
gosh.
Hold on.
I have no idea.
In the United States.
In the United States,
Mhm.
it's in the billions. I'm gonna go with.
Now, is this including Halloween attractions, or is this just like
It just
like
what we
candy
spend
and costumes
annually on Halloween period.
okay? Well, I have a figure for my topic, so I'm gonna guess probably 6 or 7 million.
Million?
Million.
I'm gonna say 13 billion.
$6 billion.
Oh my God!
Dude,
$6 billion.
Whoa, $1 billion. They totally did the Dr. Evil Pinky.
I'm still down here. I'm just very badly burned. I feel like every time I make an Austin Powers reference on the podcast, a little tiny part of me becomes less cooler, less cool.
No, you just show your age.
One less person wants to be my friend.
Cool is such a strong word. Right? Well, my topic is about haunted houses, and because I love them, and honestly, up until 2016, I had actually never been through one that I had not already been like working. Because for several years in Richmond, there were several, like through the 90s, there were several different haunted houses.
Excuse me, my voice just.
And like there was the Trail of Terror or something at Camp
Jacobson
Catalpa.
Park has that one.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting the name wrong.
Forest.
Haunted Forest at Camp Catalpa.
As I've told y'all before,
nope, not going up there.
Forest experience.
Dante's Inferno at White Oak Pond Church. There were several.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. There were a lot in the area in the 90s, and they terrified me. I was not going to go, so I didn't. And then something changed, and I started actually working at the church, at Dante's Inferno at White Oak Pond. And this was not a hell house. I don't know if you guys are familiar with hell houses.
No, but I'd like to be.
Okay. Well, in 1972 was one of the first hell houses that was introduced. This is where they take... this was by Jerry Falwell at Liberty University. It was one of the first ones.
So
Yeah. And
Say more things, April.
So say more things.
Say more
So
things.
the idea behind a hell house, and I have been through one of those. The idea for the hell house is to actually, basically, scare you into going to heaven. And I'm probably going to get crucified for that one.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh!
no.
Oh my goodness! That's our show for today.
Oh Lordy! Wow,
What
I
do we
went
have
there.
for her, Johnny?
I went there. Oops. Sorry about that,
I just want
guys.
you to know you are blushing harder than I've ever seen you blush before.
I didn't even make the connection because I
Listen,
say that
April,
all the
but
time.
You know something though, at least you didn't say.
I can feel it. I'm going so red.
At least you didn't claim to be all about like something and then not know a tiny little insignificant fragment of it that anybody
You know what?
could forget.
That is so true. You know, at least I do know that Beatles song.
I don't at all.
I love the Britney Spears song "Lady Madonna."
I am.
It's really, really good.
I always.
Jimi Hendrix.
That's
It was
right.
great.
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
always-
It's my favorite.
I always did consider myself somewhat of a fool on the hill, though. So it's okay.
Oh,
It's okay.
man.
You're fine. You're
Yeah.
fine. You know, Tom and I were watching Stranger Things last night, and one of the songs is going, and he's like, "Is that the Cherry Bombs?" And I go, "Do you mean Joan Jett?"
Like the actual song "Cherry Bomb."
I was like, "Who
Is that
sings
the
a
Cherry
song
Bombs? Oh.
called Cherry Bomb?" And he goes, "Yes." And he hangs his head in shame. He's like, "Yes."
Not to be
It's-
diversionary,
sorry.
but we really should talk about misunderstood or song lyrics.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh!
I am
yes.
not only a member of
Yeah.
that club, I am also the president.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, there was this awesome song that was on all the pop waves called Tub Thumping by a band, British band
Chumbawamba.
known as Chumbawamba. For 20 years of until like 4 years ago, for 20 years of my life, I was going around my life singing, "I got no time, but I get down again. You're never going to get me up. I got no time."
That isn't even close.
Not for a second.
No.
But I can
Like,
Wow.
that's not misheard. That's just like
Wrong.
lunacy, right?
Yeah.
So please just send me to Hell House. Speaking of which,
Speaking of which, okay, so those so the idea of those is that you would go through different rooms and they would represent different sins, and then at the end you would pray with someone. And
well, that sounds like fun.
and that yeah, they're interesting. Dante's Inferno was not one of those. It was actually based on.
Brandon's hiding
Brandon
his
is
sweater
dead.
for some
Brandon
reason.
has died. So Dante's Inferno was actually based off the book Dante's Inferno.
Right.
And so you would go through the different levels of hell, and so that would
The
be
famous book by Mark Twain.
Yes.
right on, no, for sure. Samuel Clemens, you
Samuel
guys.
Clemens, if you will. It's true.
Robert Frost,
This
same
is true.
guy.
It's all about
Same guy.
Huckleberry Finn's journey
Same guy.
down into
Right. Yeah.
right,
Journey
right.
to hell.
Into the
Journey
bowels,
into hell.
right, of Gotham City.
where he meets up with Tom Sawyer,
right,
Right.
for
Yep.
sure.
who's
for sure.
his guide, and,
Yep.
they travel through. I can't even
No, for sure.
keep going with
Tom
this.
Sawyer and Cruella DeVille
Yes.
on a paddle boat down the River Jordan, I think is the name of the river, the
Yep.
one that's
Yeah.
It is.
made of fire.
It's also a
The
musical.
one, yeah.
Beep, Tom Sawyer, my home is Samuel Clemens. I got nothing.
I was
So-
just waiting to see how far you were going to go with this.
Misremembered everything.
So anyway, it would start with a
I
death
want
scene.
to cross over into intelligence. Okay, I'm done. I'm
I'm
really
just,
done.
Good
I'm
Lord.
just dying with the image in my head of Huck Finn walking through hell with Cruella DeVille to find Tom Sawyer.
Crossing on a wooden raft down the river Styx, and it's like burning all around
Right?
him.
Yeah.
That's what he gets for messing up that fence.
That's right.
Wait, that was Tom Sawyer, wasn't it? Who I don't know
I don't even
anything. This is the episode where Brandon knows nothing. Nothing.
I don't even
Who? It was Tom Sawyer, dude.
Now I'm
Who was
questioning
painting
everything
the
too.
fence. It was right.
The whitewash the fence.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think it was
completely
Tom
for sure
Sawyer.
Tom
I
Sawyer.
It
don't
was
know.
actually Winnie the Pooh.
Cece, it's so funny that you'd mentioned Winnie the Pooh because he's
that
gonna
famous book by Toni
He's
Morrison.
going to come back around by Toni Morrison. I thought J.K. Rowling did that.
No. Remember, she's the one who wrote the Star Wars series.
Oh my God! Of course.
Slayed me. Toni Morrison. Oh my gosh.
I have tears.
You guys want to know something real? Like this is really real?
Yes, God, please.
I don't know. I don't actually know who Toni Morrison is. Is she a singer?
What?
She's a musician.
Are you serious
So
right
I know the name.
now? Are you serious right now?
I think yeah. I
Author.
promise.
Author.
An
Okay.
author?
Brandon just asked
Did
if Toni
she-
Morrison was a singer.
Did she write Tuesdays with Maury?
No,
That was a joke,
You're-
but I honestly
okay.
don't
I was
know.
like,
Yeah.
I just I don't know what to
Okay.
do.
Are you? Oh, you were joking. Okay.
No,
She
not
wrote
about Toni Morrison.
Beloved.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Beloved, The Bluest Eye.
We've spoken about her.
Yeah, we
before.
talked about her.
Bluest Eye.
Okay.
Oh
yeah,
my
for sure.
God.
Yeah. Okay. I remember
I have
that.
tears.
She also wrote Winnie the
crying.
Pooh. The famous story about the bear who whitewashes the
Who
fence.
whitewashes the fence in hell? You guys,
Oh my God.
maybe we could just call this the unreality episode because I'm losing my grip on anything.
Everything gets messed up.
on
Episode.
anything.
I don't even know.
And now you're over there in that
man.
lovely shirt that you're wearing. Every time I look over at you, you're looking more and more like Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice. I don't know why. It's real.
Just say my name 3 times.
Oh man.
In hell.
Sorry about the coughing, guys.
Anyway,
I've been sick. I don't even know where I was.
well,
Um,
you
You were definitely in
you
hell.
were in a new
Okay.
place.
Oh, Dantes. Yes, Dantes. Okay, so it would start off with a death scene, and then you would go through different levels of hell. And then Purgatory was actually a pitch black maze. And then once you came out the end, out of...
So who wrote the song "Unbreak My Heart" if it wasn't Toni Morrison?
Braxton.
I'm sorry. I honestly thought.
I could tell that your mind was still spinning over the fact that Toni Morrison's not a musician. She actually wrote Lady Madonna.
Now all of my
man.
questions have been answered. April, I'm sorry.
Oh my
I'm
God.
not-
So who wrote Unbreak My Heart if it wasn't Toni Morrison?
That's right.
You know what? This has been way better than my topic, so I'm good. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Sweating,
man.
people. I gotta take off a layer.
Oh my God. Seriously, I'm so glad I did my makeup this morning because
Oh,
it's not
man.
like it's all running down my face now.
Oh, man.
Oh my God. Anyway.
Now I know. This is now I know.
Oh wow. So you were talking about
I'm so glad you don't have to go through life anymore thinking that Toni Morrison wrote Unbreak My
I
Heart.
for sure thought I
Oh
can
my
see her in
God.
the video, Toni Braxton,
Say
obviously.
it's not Toni Morrison.
But it's clearly who I. That was my image for Toni Morrison. So now I need to know what Toni Morrison looks like.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh my God, I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Jeez, oh Pete. So I don't have a name for this year because obviously haunted houses and things are still going on for 2017. But in 2016, the one that was voted the scariest was called House of Torment in Austin, Texas, which is a 40,000 square foot office park.
ooh.
I can only imagine
That's
how
cool.
huge this thing was.
Go big or go home, Texas.
I've discovered that I'm one of those jerks who goes through haunted houses and laughs at the scares.
Okay.
And I realized this a couple weekends ago because we actually went to one of those attractions where there were 3 different haunted houses at the attraction, and you could pay one price and go see all 3. And we went through, and even though I knew there was one where it's like, that guy is not a mannequin. He is standing there. And he is going to jump, and he's going to move, and he's going to scare me.
You have to get through it in some way.
And I knew that this was going to happen, and he still got me.
He still got you.
He still got me. I was watching him the entire time.
Right on.
I was like, dang it.
Right on.
There was only one moment when, like, I don't like the dark. And so that bothers me. And dolls bother me. Outside of that, I'm good.
Dolls bother me hard.
Oh
man.
my gosh.
Can't do
We
it.
were at this.
I do not like dolls at all.
We were at a Halloween party Friday night, and they had this doll that I posted it on my personal Instagram. I can share it on the page as well. But it was on like wheels or something, and it had this creepy face, and it was like the black eyes and everything, and it was like, "You ready or not? Here I come.
Nope.
You can't get away from me." And I was like, "I'm not ready."
You guys
I'm
want
good.
This thing, and it would chase. It would like it wouldn't chase you around, but it would move around. And
You want to hear something weird about me?
yes, please, something new.
Yeah, I guess.
I think
So
this whole episode has been something weird about you.
something weird and new about Brandon. So when I was a kid, Child's Play, that Chucky was one of my biggest no-nos. I couldn't even really think about.
I still haven't seen
Chucky.
them
Well, here's how it started.
because it's a doll.
Right, and it started this way. There's one of the films, I can't remember which one. I think maybe Child's Play 2. Chucky, this is a little bit gross and graphic. He gets half of his face cut off. It's in some scene.
The doll?
The doll does.
Okay.
But I mean, he's kind of alive, and so it's like bloody and gory. It's very gory and gross, right? And so I'm watching this at home.
Just trying to figure out how on earth that would even work.
Right,
in a
yeah,
doll.
I don't know. Well, because when Chucky becomes alive, he becomes like he's not just a doll anymore. Yeah, he bleeds.
Right.
See, I haven't seen it, so.
It's super gross, and it is pretty gory. But anyway, so I was eating a salami sandwich. I'm talking about I was like 7. I don't know where my parents were or why they weren't monitoring what I was doing. But I was eating a salami sandwich with mustard as Chucky's face is. Yeah. So I got so grossed out that every time I ate or thought about salami, I thought about like that must be like what people's faces taste like.
Oh.
Right? For
Brandon.
years and years and years. I know.
This has gotten real deep
It's gross. No, for sure.
and dark.
Definitely don't want a bathtub full of that.
I've only
Ugh.
peeled off. Yeah. So, no, I was like traumatized against salami sandwiches specifically for years and years and years. I couldn't do it. Anyway,
That's
Blech.
disgusting.
gross. Chucky.
That's just
No thanks.
just gross.
Gory. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Well, so haunted houses as we know them, they did not become a cultural icon for Halloween until 1969
Interesting.
when Walt Disney opened the Haunted Mansion.
Before that, were they just doing around Christmas time? and
well,
people
no,
were like,
well, I
"Let's
mean,
go
they
down to the
were-
haunted house.
They would be like happen kind of year round. There would be like different attractions. They really started around in 19th century London with Madame
Sweet.
Tussauds, the wax museum.
Ah.
And so then they started getting creepier and creepier, and so they would have like House of Horrors and things like that. But they would be going year round, so you
Well-
would go and see these things.
Speaking of that time frame, kind of back to the whole trick-or-treating thing,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of became more of a big deal around like 1955 to 1970 or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the whole baby boomer, all those folks are the ones that really,
The baby boomers gave us trick or treat.
well, I guess their parents did.
Okay.
They were the first, or well, not the first, but like, so after World War II, during World War II, there was a sugar ration. So
Right.
candy
Right.
wasn't a thing. So then after that was done and there was no more sugar ration, then, people were like, give me that
How
candy.
about that? All
You
right.
know?
Huh. I
So
didn't
I
think
think
about
The Mars
that.
company was like, no more war, America. Here comes I.
Well, you know that M&Ms were created for soldiers.
No.
So that they
I
could
did
take
not know
chocolate with
that.
them.
No.
They had the hard
Huh.
candy around them so that they wouldn't melt.
Ah.
Because even if M&Ms are in the heat, the chocolate inside will melt, but the
Right.
shell will not.
That's also what Three Musketeers, a Three Musketeers bar. It was created for soldiers during World War II because soldiers really liked creamy nougat. I'm lying. This is
Okay.
not true.
Lie detector test
I don't
says
have any basis for this. I just really like Three Musketeers.
they are really good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't even know what to do with you right now.
Dude, they're really it's good.
But in
Famous Three Musketeers
2016, in 2016, roughly 2,700 haunted houses operated that year.
20,000.
2,700.
Okay.
What
2,700, which
is
is
wrong
really.
with you today?
I don't even know. I can't wait till we get to your topic.
3
I am
billion haunted
dying.
houses.
But
in the United States today.
the
Right.
industry
6 billion.
is worth $3 million, not billion.
Oh.
Woo, $3 million. It's
Interesting.
estimated to be. That's why I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 million. I don't know. But yeah, but it's really interesting. But I will tell you that if you have any problems going through a haunted house, work one year.
Oh, I'm sure.
That will
see
ruin
behind the
them
scenes
for you
yeah.
for forever.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
like I said, when I'm going through the rooms, I'm either going, there's not enough blood. There's not enough blood.
Right.
There's just not enough
Critiquing
blood.
it.
It's not realistic.
Or I'm going, oh, that was a really good scare, or good job.
Yeah, dude.
You know, I'm that jerk that's going through the haunted house. Because as a scarer, you want people screaming.
Right.
You want people coming out of the death scene in Dante's Inferno and being confronted by these 3 giant coffins and just peeing themselves.
Oh,
which
yeah.
happened several times.
Really?
Okay.
People actually peed themselves?
People
Wait.
would pee themselves.
Wow.
Yes.
In Dante's Inferno?
Yeah.
That-
Now,
the
that is
second
a
to last
successful
year.
Hell
Yeah.
House.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't technically, I guess, because based on their on I don't even know. Anyway, but but the second to last year that we did it, it was a zombie theme, and it was so much fun.
Nice.
So the moment that they would hit this tent, we would have these soldiers in hazmat suits, barking orders at them and telling them to face one direction, and then they would pull out the one who was the most nervous looking. And then, of course, that person would be contaminated. And as soon as that happened, one of the operators would hit a switch, and then the lights would change, and the sirens would go off, and this zombie would get up off a table and start attacking that person that was behind this plastic that they could see.
I'm about to pee my pants right now.
And so then these people who are in the tent then had to go running past where this zombie was trying to get, and they were like, I don't know, 2 feet wide space. And so they had to go running right past the zombie.
Nice.
And so the moment
Cool.
that they got past that was the death scene. They got into this other room. The door shuts behind them. It's dark, and there's these 3 giant coffins. And they would have to get in them.
Nope.
What? No.
They would have to get in them. Yeah.
That's
we
my claustrophobia.
I mean, we did have a pass for the people who chickened out.
I'm nauseous.
You're nauseous.
I'm nauseous.
And then there was one night when a friend of mine, he was basically wearing his Jacob Marley from A Christmas Carol costume, like all chains and everything.
No, yeah.
But he did his makeup like Alice Cooper.
Nice.
And so he just sat there in a chair and just like was really, really still. And so then after they'd been in there for about 30 seconds with the door shut going, what do we do? He would pop up. That's when they would pee.
Oh, man.
Okay.
60% of the people who chickened out right there.
I thought you were going to say
Well, yeah.
60% of the people who went through peed their pants.
No.
Like,
But we
really
did have a lot.
That's a really
Yeah.
high pants pee to not pants pee ratio.
So as a scarer, that's the reaction you want. You want people going, oh, no, I'm out.
No doubt.
You
right.
don't want people going through like me going, oh, good scare, good job. Or, oh, your makeup looks great. Or your mask is awesome. Or this room is really good. I really like this room. Or needs more blood. Or, oh, that was a really brilliant layout. That one scarer could get 3 spots. The 3 scare spots. That was really good. That's me going through a haunted house. You don't want to go through a haunted house with me.
That's me watching a horror film. And I have nothing to do with the horror film industry,
too.
obviously.
I'm a big fan. Yeah.
But, I mean, I watch it and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I watched It finally last night. Not the movie, like, that just came out.
The old
but the
one.
old one.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
And I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So I was this past week. I was in Pittsburgh for a work conference, which I had a ton of fun. And one thing that a lot of the people did, like on the off evenings that we had, there was apparently in the Pittsburgh area a really nice haunted house.
Yeah.
I did not go, and I kind of regret not going. I went to the museum and stuff in the library instead.
Nerd.
But yeah, I was excited about that. Anyway, I heard that it was so scary that when you were admitted into the haunted house, they gave you like a buzzer. So that if you couldn't handle it, you could tap out at any time.
Yeah.
And I guess it had like a GPS, or I'm not
Man,
quite sure.
I would probably tap out
And
immediately.
you could hit your buzzer. It's kind of like the I've fallen and I can't get up thing, like the life call of this haunted house. And then someone would come get you and escort you out.
I just don't like them.
That's
I don't like them at
intense.
all.
I don't like the ones where they can touch you. I don't like the ones where they can grab you.
Here's why I don't like them.
Okay.
Because who's to say that there's not some psychotic person there who is taking part in the haunted house that's just going to jump out and do something awful?
Wow.
There is no way. And that is one of the things. Like the one that we went to is one where they can't. Brandon suddenly
Brandon's
like
mind is spinning.
dodged a bullet
I
there.
got like tickets for like all of them in this area over the course of the next 24 hours, and now I can't do it.
Do you really?
Thanks,
Are you going
CC.
to a bunch of them?
No,
Okay.
No, that'd be fun though.
All lies again.
But one of the ones.
This is the episode where Brandon just lies constantly.
My actual name is George. Has been this whole time.
Harrison,
Yes.
back from the dead. for Halloween.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 days and 2 days only, because Halloween is 2 days.
Well, yeah, All Hallows Eve and All Saints Day.
I feel like
know.
I celebrate, as you all well know, I celebrate Halloween for many, many days.
This is true.
Many tens of days.
This is very true.
Many tens of days.
Many tens of days. A fortnight or more, if you will. Isn't that only 2 weeks?
It's like, what? A fortnight is actually
I thought a
15
fortnight
days? I thought it was, because it's not exactly 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's not exactly, I don't remember if it's a little bit more or a little bit less. But it basically has been taken to mean 2 weeks, but it's not exactly.
A fortnight is the baker's dozen of weeks.
Yes.
I don't know.
That's what it is.
I don't know what that
Wait,
means.
how many things were in a baker's dozen? That
13.
Right? Yeah.
Right, but what did you think it was?
I knew it was 13, but I thought it was
okay.
just because the baker was nice.
Oh, right.
Was being nice.
Right.
See, I thought they were inventing their own system of math.
That's right.
That's what it was. So, yeah.
A fortnight is 2 weeks. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Come get
There
some.
we go.
This is the episode where Brandon lies about everything but one thing.
But one thing. Or Brandon gets it all wrong,
How long-
except this one thing.
How long a fortnight is, right? Brandon gets it all wrong except
Well,
fortnight.
one fun fact about the Haunted Mansion in Disney World is that shortly after its debut, in one day, 82,000 people went through.
What?
In
What?
one day. Now,
In 1969?
shortly after it opened. Yeah, it opened in
I
1969.
didn't think there were 80,000 people in this country in 1969.
No, Brandon, there weren't. In fact, there were only
just, like,
81,000. The other
amazed.
ones came from across.
I'm being a little silly. Just a little silly.
Oh,
a lot
but
of
yeah,
people.
in one day, 82,000 people went through. Now, my source for this is the Smithsonian, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's pretty factual.
Yeah,
That's where I got my really awesome trick-or-treat info also.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Smithsonian. Yep. But yeah, so that's my topic, and I've got tons of stories about working in the haunted house and how much fun it was. My son, apparently 6 years ago, learned a lesson that you don't tell the guy with the chainsaw wearing the clown mask that he's not very scary.
Yeah.
No,
Because
no,
he will then
no.
chase you to
No.
your car.
Don't advise that.
No.
It was hilarious.
I don't think I'd
'cause
tell-
he was 7, I think, then, because he's 15 now. I mean, the chainsaws didn't have blades on them or
Right.
anything like that. And so we're outside, and it's near the end of the night. I had been there working, and Tom and the kids come to pick me up. And I was, "You're not very scary." And chases him to the car, and Alex is standing at the car trying to hide behind his comic book.
Peeing his
It
pants.
was hilarious.
Right, peeing his pants for sure. You know,
We were laughing so hard.
the only thing I'd say to a guy holding a chainsaw would be like, "Thanks for sawing that chain, bro. way to get me some wood, man.
Dad joke.
or whatever you're sawing with that chain is what I mean to say.
Okay.
Like logs for my fire.
I will tell you, though, that one of the haunted houses we went to last year was one of the ones where they could touch you. And the guy took the chainsaw, without the chain, of course, and ran it down my back.
What?
And yes, ran it down my back.
You
And
can do that?
Well, if it's one of the ones where they can touch you, yeah.
Wait, you can take the chain off a chainsaw and touch another human being with it, and it's not dangerous?
Well,
I guess nothing's
mean,
moving.
Nothing's the blade is not on it to
So you
hurt
couldn't-
you.
I see. So you
Yeah.
couldn't in that case.
Yeah,
saw
he
through
ran
the
it down my
wood
back, and it actually
or
kind of tickled.
whatever. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The one we went to this year was one of the ones where they can't
Neutered
touch you.
chainsaws, I
And
guess
so one of
is-
the things they said was, if you're going through this and someone grabs you, they don't work here.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
that's your fear.
Yeah, that's your
I'd be
fear.
like, okay, I'm gone.
Right
Yes.
on. What
we
if-
didn't have any problems with that. Yeah.
Wow.
It was fun.
Okay. This haunted house rabbit hole that we've been journeying down. You guys want to hear some stuff that I brought?
Yes, please. What you got?
Boy, here we go. So, being that it's kind of our Halloween episode in a way, right? That's kind of where we're at. I
Yeah.
thought I would talk about fears, especially childhood fears, especially weird things that I
Okay.
was afraid of as a kid. I've kind of already the
Okay.
salami sandwich with chutney
Hashtag
thing.
confessional hour with Brandon.
Well, and I thought maybe you guys could get in on it if you have some similar things, or maybe our listeners could be like, oh yeah, I was really irrationally afraid of that thing when I was a kid. So just a couple things. I'll just go to share a couple of my things. When I was young, you know how when you're a kid you go to birthday parties, and one of the games that you played as a kid at the birthday party was you sit on the balloon and it bursts under your bottom, backside, behind. You know what I'm talking about?
trying to pop the balloon.
Trying to pop
Okay.
the balloon by sitting on it. Was
Yes,
that
yes.
maybe?
No, I
He's like,
remember
I
this.
never
I don't know
sat
about
on a
playing
balloon.
that.
I
You remember?
Yes.
I don't remember the goal of this game other than to pop the balloon with your butt.
I think it was like to see how many, like to pop the most or something like that.
Well,
I don't know.
Some kid told me when I was a kid that if your skin was in contact with a popping balloon, right? That there was a risk of the latex of the balloon sliding underneath your skin and injuring
you,
like
terrifying,
getting inside your body. So whenever first of all, I was like afraid of balloons, like period. Like I didn't want to be around balloons because balloons sometimes just popped, right?
Right.
Sometimes balloons pop, right? So,
that's another famous song.
But especially,
yes.
That was another one of Toni Morrison's very famous songs.
Okay. I thought it was a hit from
on the same album. I think is "Unbreak My Heart."
I think it was. Yeah. Didn't she collaborate with like Mick Jagger on that one?
I believe so.
Don't sit on balloons; they'll get under your skin.
Oh my God!
Right. You dumb little kid. So
I can't wait for the fact checking on this episode.
Oh no, for sure.
Literally everything.
I don't even think. I love how you say literally. By the way, I've been meaning to say this to you for a long time.
Say it?
You say it very British. You
literally.
Say literally.
Oh.
It's when you say it, it's spelled LIT'.
Literally.
Really.
Now I'm super aware of it.
See, now when I say it, it's literally. Very
literally.
American.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
literally,
yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Another thing I was afraid of when I was a kid, very irrationally, was there's this movie that they played on the Disney Channel a lot called Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day.
And we've come full circle,
right?
Wow.
So in this, it's like a.
It is hard to whitewash a fence in the wind.
It is really
it's
hard.
very, very hard.
Yeah, sure, right.
It's like it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Spooky, creepy Winnie the Pooh. Right. The wonderful thing about fences is fences are wonderful things. Anyway. That one was not a hit.
Did you forget your line?
I did forget. What's my
We're
line?
talking about Winnie the Pooh.
What's my
Day.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So there's this.
Which I remember being scary.
So scary. Pooh has this dream sequence where heffalumps and woozles
Oh, yeah.
come to steal his honey. And I got to tell you guys,
that
it
is terrifying.
Messed me up as a kid. There's like a song, and the animation was just really super disturbing. It's like disturbing for kids. It's like I'm going to protect I have a 1-year-old daughter. I'm going to protect her from the heffalumps and woozles until she's like 28.
Okay, I can. Good luck with that.
Here's the thing. So, yeah. Here's what I consider to be my strangest childhood fear. I've done some digging on this one. I was really afraid of the Hanna-Barbera spinning star logo.
Really?
For those of you who are listening who don't know what I'm talking about, maybe this sound will bring it back to you. So I'm bringing it up right now. No, I don't want. You guys remember the Hanna-Barbera spinning star logo?
Why was that terrifying?
Well, for me as a kid, it was like coming at me, and it was like the music was aggressive.
I'm really worried about you. This has been a really interesting,
right?
Interesting journey into your mind.
Did you get enough sleep last night?
No, that's definitely not so. And I've been watching Stranger Things, and
yeah.
So my mind is very strange right now. But yeah, no, from as far back as I can remember, that logo, the spinning star, was really scary. So I started researching it. I didn't even remember what it was from. So I typed into Google, "afraid of the spinning star logo." And this was last night, and I got down deep into some Reddits and subreddits. Many people there's a whole community of people who have come together online who were afraid of
the star?
The spinning star Hanna-Barbera logo. And they all kind of have the same story. They thought it was aggressive, and it was like coming after them. Right.
Wow.
So these are
lots of different ways to live.
These are my
There are.
These are my spooky, like, weird little fears as a kid.
There's a community for everything.
Sure, that's true.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is very, very true.
Sure.
The thing that scared me unreasonably as a kid, although honestly I don't think it's very unreasonable, and it still bothers me to this day. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh,
that's
scene.
A pretty spooky. Yeah.
Yes. Which scene are you talking about? Because the boat scene did not bother me at all.
The boat scene.
I mean, it was creepy, but it didn't bother me.
No thanks.
No, the scene that bothered me was when Augustus Gloop goes into the
Save
chocolate
some room
river
for later,
and they get sucked up the tube and get stuck.
Yeah.
I am like, my palms are sweating right now just thinking about this. I'm just like, oh my god, it's terrifying.
Are you claustrophobic?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Oddly, I have fear of really, really tight spaces and specifically getting stuck. But I also have a fear of wide open spaces.
In fact.
Yeah.
Really?
But like not an open field, but like I can't lay down on a hill and stare up at the sky.
Go into the Dixie Chicks.
Good, right on.
Oh,
Right on.
that's a great song.
I thought it was a Rolling Stones
but
song.
no, like
What Open Space is the famous
Rolling
country
Stones
ballad by the Stones.
yes.
So you just have to have you have to be in the right size room at all times. Is that
Well, no. Like I'm talking like outer space.
Oh, those
wide open
kind of
ocean.
Wide open.
Oh yeah,
Like
I get you on that. Yeah.
Like those are terrifying to me. I've never been on a boat where I cannot see the shore.
Right.
I mean, the idea of even doing it is just absolutely terrifying. And no, I will not do it.
Okay.
And I can't lay in the grass and stare at the clouds because the vastness and immensity of the sky just overwhelms me, and I can't. It's just too much. I would, when you were a kid, you would be swinging, and sometimes you would lay back and look at the sky. Nope. Nope. I tried it, I think, twice in my life, and promptly was about to cry and just couldn't do it.
And pee your pants.
Yeah.
I think I've already mentioned
I said,
mine.
and pee your pants. Sorry.
And pee my pants.
I've already mentioned what my fears are.
Dressing in costume and
Clowns,
candy. No.
Clowns and dolls.
Yeah, dolls.
I'm just not.
Dolls.
I'm not really convinced that dolls don't get up and walk around your house at night.
Same.
Yeah,
For sure.
Especially
if those dolls are Muppets and are made to fit somebody's hand right up their backside and talk to you. I hate the Muppets, just as a reminder.
Well.
Because they have a hole in their back where that you put your hand in.
All right, what is our time, Mark?
You guys, they're scary, you guys.
We have 8 minutes left. All right. Do you want to play your game real quick?
Woo! We're going to play a game.
Are we going to play a game, or are we just going to talk about the titles?
Do you want to play a game?
Oh, we'll play a game.
You can hear Mark. Mark is talking.
Everybody, Easter egg,
Oh,
Easter
wow.
egg.
Yeah.
He's got his own microphone.
Easter egg indeed.
What? Okay. We've got a few minutes, so we can do probably maybe 2 of them. 2, maybe 3.
For this one, with it being Halloween and all, I figured it would be a good idea to see if you could guess a couple of movie titles if I just played some sounds from the movie.
If one of these is Heffalumps and Woozles, I'm going to lose it.
I'm gonna guess it's not because that's not.
Yeah, I'm guessing
scared
probably
emails
not.
for you.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, maybe.
I'm going to guess it's not because that's
All right.
completely obscure.
Throwing some shade.
So each one of these clips is just about 30 seconds long.
Okay.
All right, and everyone will be able to hear it. So, are we ready for the first one?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
bring it.
I could name that tune in
So-
2 seconds.
So listen real closely.
All right, we've got speakers
Do we
in front
need
of
to,
us.
Get the mic close.
No, I'll take care of the sound.
Okay.
Okay.
Speed.
Hey, wasn't that the road up for Camp Crystal Lake back there?
Ah!
Taxi driver.
Joyride! No.
American Pie.
No, that's Friday the
Written by Toni
13th.
Morrison.
That's right. That's Friday the 13th.
Written by Toni Morrison. Unscare my kids.
Yes. Seriously,
Please don't chop into them.
I was like, are these supposed to be Halloween movies? I really was thinking at the beginning, I was like, Joyride? Joyride 2?
No.
I Know What You Did Last Summer? Final Destination. I don't know.
No, I tried to make sure every one of these clips is distinct.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll be good to go.
All right, next one.
Let's go for the next one.
I don't think that was
No,
it.
That is totally not it.
Was that an ad?
Is an ad on YouTube?
They always creep in.
That's scary enough for me.
Give me 1 second here. Hold on. Just
That's the horror film advertising on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Starring the Micro Machines guy.
All right, so hold on just 1 second.
Okay. You know, I've never seen the original Friday the 13th.
Oh, it's probably pretty bland at this point in time.
It's what?
Probably pretty bland at this point in time.
I don't know. It's pretty classic.
Oh,
I know that one. I know that
Yeah.
one. I know that one.
The Exorcist.
Yes. When Winnie the Pooh, Blustery Day.
Toni Morrison.
Written by Mark Twain.
Yes. That was Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween. When I was a kid.
Halloween.
When I was a kid, the video store had on the Halloween VHS box.
Okay.
They wrote Halloween. So that's how I know that movie. Halloween. Yeah, they just spelled it
I don't know
incorrectly.
It's so funny to me.
Halloween.
Oh my Lord. Okay, do one more.
All right. Here's our next one.
Melanie?
Hope it's a Bud Light ad.
Oh,
It's
me
so
too, so
quiet.
much.
Blue Apron.
I want you to go as quietly as possible. Do not make a sound until I tell you to run. Then run as quickly as you can. Now, does everybody understand? Yes, all right, John, you lead the way.
What on earth?
The Sound of Music.
The Sound of Music. Was that it?
Nope, it's still playing.
Oh,
I'll give you just a few more seconds.
Okay.
The Birds.
It's the Birds! Oh! I was like,
That's
Critters?
what I get for making fun of you this entire
Yes, yes.
I'm like, I love The Birds. My favorite horror movie.
Oh,
And I couldn't even
same.
And that's
Same.
exactly why I picked it.
Oh,
thanks.
man.
Total Redemption.
There you go. There
Total
you go.
and complete.
The Birds, the famous film by Mark Twain.
Right?
Steven Spielberg.
Music by Toni Morrison.
Okay, I've got one.
Starring Winnie the
Pooh.
Pooh.
I've got two more for you.
You got two more?
Bring
Okay,
it.
do them real quick.
Bring it.
Here we go. Here comes our.
Because we got it.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
out. I'm out.
Bring it
that's our show
on,
for
dude.
That's out. I'm out.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Jackie the Dead and Lovely. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
That was
Play it
actually
through,
really
Mark.
That was
scary.
Play it
terrifying.
through, Mark.
All right, here we go.
I mean, you guys know it's Nightmare, right? It's Nightmare on Elm Street, you guys.
Is it Nightmare on Elm
Of
Street?
course.
Oh, it is.
Okay, we can cut it off.
Yes.
I have actual chills. Just wanted to say
That's
that.
right. Because that's the chant that they would do to keep Freddy away.
1, 2, Freddy's
That's
coming
gross.
for you.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
You know, when
3,
we would
4,
actually
better lock
at
the
Dantes
door.
when the sound would go out, because every now and then it would, the entire cast would chant that.
Nope.
It was kind of terrifying.
It was Robert Englund's daughter who they got to.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Creepy.
I love Poltergeist. They're here.
I just watched that over the weekend. And that
it's-
one scene where like they open the door
Mm-hmm.
and like everything in the room is just like spinning around
Ugh.
and all
Nope.
that. If you're watching that now, it is the worst.
Oh, is it really?
Like, yeah,
It's
because I mean, we're so used to very like real looking things.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah,
It's,
got it.
It's like it's so bad.
Matte paintings and
The
you see the
Shining
wires.
is my favorite
I watched
favorite
The
scary
Shining
movie.
yesterday, too.
Love it.
Yeah.
I
Good
found a
day
copy of it
yesterday.
on sale and I took it home. I was like, "Kids, we're watching this."
Nice.
Alex was like, "Yeah, I want to watch this." Katie's like, "No."
I didn't get to finish it. It was on before it, and I finally watched it.
Nice.
Like I said,
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is
Shining is
so
one of my
funny.
favorite
All
movies
right.
ever.
I think that's our show. Or do you?
One last one. We've got 1 minute left.
Oh
We have-
boy.
well, okay,
Okay.
we have 1 minute left.
Bring it.
Okay.
Everybody listen.
Is your time so empty?
No. Well, I run the office and tend the cabins and grounds and do little errands for my mother.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Once she allows.
Psycho.
That's
Absolutely.
Mr. Norman
Yes, I knew that one.
Good evening.
And you know what? You were right. I was completely wrong. It's exactly what he says.
Bates. Yeah, he says
Good
good
evening.
I've been
Yeah.
telling you.
He just doesn't say it like Dracula.
I done told you.
Did you say I done told you?
I done told you.
All right, guys. That's our show.
That's something.
That's All
oh
right.
man, come back next time. I'll be better.
This is No, I think you were perfect this time.
Maybe.
All right, that's our show. We'll see you or we'll talk to you guys. I guess we won't see you. I
Talk
don't
to you
know.
soon.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, love you. Bye.
He's just looking